in the first place?
My involvement with windmills goes back to Pete writing The Art of Building Windmills, which I think was 1999, and I used that book to create some auditing materials and so on. I used it an awful lot with staff and students. In particular, I use his quote about what employability is. To be employed is to be at risk, to be employable is to be secure, which is such a powerful phrase for me, and it really resonates with people. And it leads into all sorts of discussions. So that, his list of skills, and I then got in touch with Pete to say, could I use his list of skills in materials that I was creating? And he said yes, and from there I got invited to a windmills conference where essentially what Pete was doing was putting us through windmills, which is such a great way to do it, and that's what I now do at Birmingham City, is to take staff through personal development days, career management days, using windmills materials. We actually call them windmills days, and so that they're experiencing it for themselves, and then what I hope will happen is that they will then do the same thing, replicate what I've done for their students, or invite me in to do it, which some staff have done.
And why did you choose to use windmills of other organisations?
I don't know of any other organisations, but I suppose even if I did, what I loved in the art of building windmills, although that was about career management, was just the practicality of it. It speaks to me. It uses my language. Things are really plain, and you just understand what you're doing. And exactly the same thing applies with the personal development materials. I like the way it is. I like the ethos behind it. I like the fact that when you're trained in using windmills materials, you experience it. It's not somebody saying, oh, you could do it this way or that way. You actually get to think about these things for yourself, and you realise how powerful it is, or you don't. And if you don't get it, I'd rather you weren't using the materials, with your students. And so, I guess that's my way of thinking. If you get it, if you start to think about yourself and your own development, then you're in a much better position to facilitate other people doing the same thing. Does that make sense?
And which windmills materials did you use?
Oh gosh, well, I used lots. Yesterday somebody came to see me who'd done a windmills day with me in January, and he's now reproducing it over 2 days with 60 design students. And the things he remembered were prime skills, picture your destination. There was something else as well, I can't remember what. The animal characters really work well. I love the animal characters. Really gets people going. You start off by saying, can you see other people around you? And people, oh yes, I work with someone like that. Oh yes, my aunt's like that, and so on. And gradually, and then you come in, and can you see yourself in some of these? And there's sort of that easing them into self-awareness. The animal characters works really well. Great fun, but incredibly powerful. And picture your destination. Not just the bit that looks like the underground map, but actually creating a poster. It's so powerful. I go into people's offices and they've got their posters up on the walls. Or somebody got in touch with me and said that she'd done her poster. She got home, showed her husband the poster, and her husband said, well, hang on a minute, well, that's your poster, but what about me? What if my poster's different? So the next day, we'd worked on a Friday. On the Saturday morning, she and her husband created their poster for home, and then their kids were saying, but hang on a minute, what about us? And on the Saturday afternoon, they had to create family posters. I mean, how brilliant is that? And within months, I can remember doing a poster with Helen. I brought Helen in to come and do Helen Wakefield to come and do something with the career service when I was head of careers at the university, and we all had posters. And within about 6 months, some of my poster was done. I'd done that. Some of it, I also realised actually I don't want that anymore. They're really powerful things, but I look at it and I like what I see, and I like thinking, oh, I've moved on from there.
And what effect did windmills have on your employees?
On my team, when I was head of careers on the team, huge. Their posters stayed up forever. You know, there's one person left. Since I moved on 4 years ago, there's one person left in the career service and her poster's still there. And I actually ran a Windmills Day for the existing career service, which is new really, in the summer, in August. And they've all got posters now. They talk about it, people talk about it. People who have left, who I'm still in touch with, which I sort of say to myself, that's a good sign of being a manager, that they keep in touch with me. But they still talk about their windmills posters, or they talk about windmills and they talk about Pete. You know, because I used to talk about Pete all the time. Pete's my guru, and so he's their guru as well. You know, so I think it's about helping people to get comfortable with themselves, and everybody needs it, whether they work for me or whether they're colleagues of mine or whether I'm just facilitating something. And people, it's interesting when I facilitate it, how people are, that they continue to talk to me in corridors, or they make friends with me on Facebook or on LinkedIn or something like that. It touches people. I like that.
And what effect did windmills have on the organisation?
Oh, it's such a huge organisation, and it is my mission to change the culture of the university to one of personal and professional development. I want to create this sort of miasma that when you step onto one of our campuses, whether that be real or virtual, you know, something comes over you where you think, oh, I must do something about my personal and professional development. You know, I haven't managed to make that happen yet. I've had a tiny effect, if any. I have affected some individuals. But it is my mission. I've published that mission. People know that that is my mission, to do that. And while I'm employed by the university, I'll continue to try to get everybody and anybody thinking about who they are and where they're going and how they're going to get there. And can they help other people to think about who they are and where they're going and how they get there? And that might be academic staff with their students, or it might be managers with their teams, or whatever. So that, you know, that's my mission. And I'll die trying.
And last question, what effect did windmills have on the community at large, did you notice?
Well, I think just in terms of people being very friendly towards me afterwards. I suppose that's the good sign, isn't it? That people talk about it. I think it's the doors that it opens. I ran an evening class that was a sort of trial for No Regrets, running No Regrets as an 8-week evening class. And only 3 people got through. Well, there were only 5 people to begin with, and somebody dropped out very early on. Somebody else was ill for the last 2 weeks. But the 3 people who finished, all of them, it was incredibly powerful with them. One person has published a book of poetry. Somebody else got a job from it. And the other person, I have looked at his CV twice since then in terms of him thinking about where he's going and what he's doing, and where he wants to be, and actually feeling confident about it. His confidence in that he can make a move if he needs to. That definitely is a change. I've noticed that in him a lot. So I think I notice individual differences. In fact, I don't even have to notice them. People tell me, you know, they'll come, oh, Ruth's doing this. And that's lovely. I love that. I like the connection that it enables people to make with me, and that's really good for my soul. That's good.